Welcome to Yoga Breaks. This is a series of really short breaks throughout your day for some yoga. So you don't need to have 45 minutes, 60 minutes, 90 minutes. If you can only spare 20 minutes, then these classes are great for you. Today, we are focusing on yoga that you can do, well, really anywhere in your house. So we're calling this living room yoga. So possibly you have your children happily doing some activities in the corner, or maybe the dinner is cooking safely on the stove. Whatever your reason for having 20 minutes, grab it, find your mat, or even just a space of this size in your house somewhere, and let's get started. Now, all you need for this session, like I said, was some space, but also something that resembles a yoga block. Chances are you won't have a yoga block lying around in your house. If you do, it looks like this. But you know what? A few books can work just as well. So grab 4 or 5 hardback books, or a couple of cans of soup, or an upturned plant pot even, which will do the job very nicely. And we'll be needing those in a moment. So let's begin by coming down into hero's pose, sitting down on your ankles. If this is uncomfortable, slot something in between your calves and the back of your thighs, like a cushion or a blanket or a few blocks. And then bring the tops of your hands onto your tops of your thighs and close your eyes. And this is the part of class where we just try to bring your awareness out of all the things that you've been doing so far today and into this practice, into your body. Start to listen to what your body has to say, and into your breath, taking notice of your breath. So let's start here with a long, deep inhalation. Filling up your lungs and then exhaling away all of the things that you have ahead of you today, all of the things that you have behind you today. And just gently start to relax your body. Relax your face, cheeks, jaw, throat. Move your shoulder blades down your back. Then bring your hands together into the Namaste prayer position and just drop your head. Bow your head with your chin to your chest. And for this class, we'll set an intention of having a really positive attitude throughout class, and then also throughout the rest of your day. And we'll talk a bit about the power of a positive attitude as we go through the session. Inhaling, lift your head and open your eyes. Bring your hands down to your side and then sweep them up overhead. Clasp your hands together, turn them over and push them up towards the ceiling. Root down into those shins that are touching the mat, touching the floor. Push down into your shins and then lift from the very bottom of your belly and drop your chin to your chest. Let go of that clasp and slowly bring your hands all the way down to your mat. And lift your head. And then twist around to your right. So your right hand behind your back, your left hand on your right thigh, and looking back over your right shoulder. Inhale. As you exhale, twist a little bit more, keeping this nice and gentle as we just slowly warm up a little bit. And back to the center, and then twist around to the other side. So your left hand behind you, right hand on your left thigh, looking back over your left shoulder. And then back to the middle. And bringing your legs out in front of you, toes towards the ceiling, hands down beside you on the mat. And just tense and then release these powerful quadricep muscles 9 times. So just quickly contracting, releasing, just resetting the knees after we've been sitting in hero's pose. And then after you've done that 9 times, bring the soles of your feet together into Pajama Kanasana. Keeping your top half nice and erect, shoulder blades down your back. And then take your hands and grasp your thigh flesh and move it behind you. Move it in that direction. So in my case, towards the wall, I'm just externally rotating my thighs here, the femur bone inside that hip socket. Really opening up the thighs here, opening up the hip joints. And this is going to stand us in good stead for our open pelvis standing poses we'll be doing shortly. And then bring your hands up to be underneath your thighs and gently bring them together. And then come into the Marjarasana, the cat position. So hands underneath your shoulders and your hips above your knees. And then drop your belly and look up. And then raise your spine towards the ceiling as you drop your head. And then move through this, flow through this with your breath. So exhaling as your spine goes up towards the ceiling, and then inhaling as you drop your belly down. Now, as you move your spine up towards the ceiling, focus on the lower part of your spine moving first, and then as you drop your belly down to the floor direction, focus on your upper back and make that move first. So as we go up here, move from the bottom half of your spine. And as you go down, move from the upper part of your spine. And then continue here, moving with your breath, exhaling as you go up, arching your back, and inhaling as you come down where there's space to fill your lungs. And then back to the tabletop position. Move your hands half a foot in front of you. We'll have your index finger of both hands pointed at 12 o'clock. And then curl your toes and lift into downward facing dog. Okay, so downward facing dog, the first one here of our practice. Push the mat away from you. Imagine that you can push your floor, push the mat away from you. And then your hamstrings, the backs of your thighs, push them to the back of your room. And then to make sure we get nice extension here of the spine, just bend your knees very slightly. And then lift your sitting bones high to the ceiling. And then straighten your knees a little bit again. And now move forward as you exhale into plank. Just hold it here for one breath. Inhale. And exhale, move back to downward facing dog. Inhale. And then exhale as you move down into plank. So again, just a flow, just a warm up. Warming up the shoulders. We've been warming up the spine. Just warming up here so we can move into some nice standing poses. And then one more. So you exhale back into downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. And then the last time down into plank. And then bring your knees down. And we will stand for some standing poses. So this is where we will start to begin using the blocks or your books. So if you have one pile of books, put them on the right side of your mat, because we'll go that way first. And we'll start with Trikonasana. So standing poses of really great strengthening poses, strengthening for your legs, strengthening and aligning your hips. Really good for the brain-body connection, really the foundation of strength. So have your feet together. Then bring your hands into this position so that your fingertips are touching. Inhale. Exhale, bend your knees. And then inhale, either step or jump. So your feet are 3.5, 4 feet apart. To begin Trikonasana. So rotate your right leg 90 degrees. And when I say your right leg, I mean your entire right leg. You can even relax your hands and just make sure that leg has completely rotated 90 degrees, so much so that this right knee is now pointed in that direction, and so is your foot. Back foot comes in 15 degrees. Only your foot comes in 15 degrees. The knee should still be pointing towards me. So now we have our feet in good alignment. You can check as well that this front heel, if you were to draw a straight line, will dissect through the arch of that back foot. Bring your arms up and now pivot to the right, pivoting from this right hip. Pivot, 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 pivot until you can no more. Then bring your right hand down to your books or your block and the other arm up like so into the air. Now put your mind into your left frontal hip, this area here, and move it in that direction. So move your left front hip in the direction of your left foot. And then move your right. Basically imagine that you can move your right buttock flesh underneath your body. And do that. And now let's focus on the upper half of our body. So move your right side waist towards the screen that you're watching this on, and your left side waist backwards. So in my case, backwards towards this wall behind me. And then look up at that top hand with your right eye, all the while contracting your quadriceps, lifting the bottom of your belly towards your chin. Exhale. And then on your next inhalation, come all the way up and switch sides. So this time your whole left leg is rotating 90 degrees and your back foot in 15 degrees. It's really important that you do that with this front leg, that the whole leg is rotating in this way, 90 degrees. That really keeps this front hip safe. Hands up and tilting, this time towards the left, until you can't anymore. And then drop that left hand down to your block and the right hand into the air. Now, just as we did on the other side, this time put your mind into this right frontal hip and moving it in this direction towards the back right foot. Opening further across the front here of your pelvis. As you do that, it creates some room in the opening, and that left buttock flesh or your left sitting bones can now come under a little bit. Very small micro movement coming under your body. Now focusing on our top half of our body. Lift the bottom of your belly towards your chin. And then your right sideways back and your left sideways forward. And look up at your top arm with your left eye. Contracting your quadriceps all the time. Inhaling. Exhale. Your next exhalation, all the way up, coming gently out of the pose. Bring your feet so that they're now both pointing forward, and step or jump back to the middle. Okay, so next up, we're going to do Pajama Kanasana. So standing with your feet together again into the jumping position. Inhale. Exhale, bend your knees, and inhale, step or jump. And actually this time a little bit wider, just as we did before. This whole right leg externally rotate 90 degrees, back leg in 15 degrees. You can have slightly less height with this pose because your legs are wider. You're going to be finding it a bit easier to get down there. Just as we did before, arms up. This time, bending the front knee and dropping your right hip down, down, down. Now, if you can only go that far today, that's fine. Don't push it. But you want, eventually, you'll be able to have your thigh parallel with the floor. Never have this knee further forward than the ankle. And then bring your right hand down to the brick and your left hand out overhead, creating this nice diagonal from the outer edge of your back foot to the fingers of your left hand. And then look up underneath your armpit. Now be careful in this pose that this thigh doesn't drop forward. Keep the outer edge of your right thigh against your arm. And just as we did in Trikonasana, move this front left hip away from this front foot, opening across the pelvis. And then lift the very bottom of your belly towards your chin. Move your left sideways back and your right sideways forwards, looking up under your armpit. Drop that right hip down. And then really extend between these fingers in the air and that outer edge of your back left foot. Inhaling. Exhale. And then as you inhale, come out, feet in, and to the other side. The whole left leg rotates 90 degrees, back leg in 15. Arms up, bend the front knee down, 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 dropping the left hip. Bring that left arm down to your brick. And then the other arm up overhead, creating this nice diagonal on the other side. Again, just making sure that this front left thigh, the outer edge of this left thigh, is still making contact with that arm so it doesn't collapse forwards. Looking up underneath your armpit. Moving this right front hip in that direction, away from your front foot. And then move your right sideways back, left sideways forward. Look up under your armpit and lengthen between the tips of your right hand and the outer edge of your back right foot. All the while lifting the bottom of your belly towards your chin, dropping that left hip. And then on your next inhalation, come all the way up. Now, if you have more time, do those standing poses a few more times on each side. Bring your feet so that they're both pointing forwards, and step or jump back to center. Now that's just a couple of standing poses, very short practice. If you have a little bit more time, watch one of the other yoga breaks, and hopefully you've got 60 seconds even where you can just lie in Shavasana for a very short restful end to your practice. You should always end your practice with Shavasana, where you lie on your back with your palms faced up and just close your eyes and feel any difference in your body and keep that positive attitude with you for the rest of your day. Thank you.